Hello, everyone, and welcome to week 2 of our Moody Talk for May. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, so I thought I'd switch things up with the Moody Talks. Normally, I will choose an emotion for the month and go through the whole month with different coping skills and information to help to work with those emotions. But this month, I decided that I was going to focus on a therapy that I use that's been really helpful for me. It's called DBT, and that means dialectical behavioral therapy. And so there are 4 principles to DBT. One is mindfulness, emotion regulation, interpersonal effectiveness, and distress tolerance. 4. And so last week we went over mindfulness. And yesterday I posted a repost from the month that I did about anger because it uses an interpersonal effectiveness tool called Dear Man. So I posted that yesterday. So go back and watch that because it really is a great tool to use when you are in conversations with people to get the things that you need and want without causing harm or, getting angry, that kind of thing, and being able to control emotions a little bit more. So definitely go and check that out. Today, I chose 2 other tools that we use in DBT, and one is to help you to, guide you through maybe being in a conversation with someone that is an important relationship that you want to keep. And the other tool is to help with keeping self-respect during those communications, holding firm and getting what you need without, bending your morals, your values, that kind of thing. So let's get into it, okay? So the first skill is give, okay? So it goes Give. So the first part is be gentle. Be respectful. No attacks, no threats, no judging, no sneering. So, like keeping your, facial expressions under control, more neutral, or even just a little bit more, respectful and giving. And, like not attacking the person, especially while they're speaking, that kind of thing. Okay? So be gentle. Then the second one is act interested. Listen. So face the person. So when you're in a conversation, especially one that may be intense or stressful, you want to like square off with the person and face them completely. So your body language is telling them that you're listening. And the same with keeping eye contact. I know that can be hard, especially during intense conversations. You may want to look away because you're angry or disgusted or some sort of thing that's really bothering you and just don't want to. But eye contact is really important in that communication, letting them know that you're listening and you're being respectful. Square your body off. I did say that one before. And don't interrupt and be patient. That can be another hard one, interrupting and being patient. Sometimes we hear something that we just really want to say something back about really quickly, like right off the cuff. But maybe sitting back, letting that person say exactly what they need to say so that they feel as though you're actually listening and you're in the conversation together is really important. So being patient, just waiting for that person to finish what they're saying so that you can also in your mind think of what you want to say without saying something like off the cuff and maybe rude and causing some sort of anger. Okay? Then there's V, validate with words and actions. So see the other's personal feelings. So you want to recognize what their emotion is in the moment. Is it sadness? Is it anger? Disgust? That kind of thing. You want to recognize it and you want to, know that that's what they're feeling and take that into account as you're communicating with them. You can say things like, I realize this is hard. That helps to validate them knowing that you're thinking about how they're feeling and that you are, keeping that in mind as you communicate with them. And then Talk privately. This one I think is really important too. If you're out at a cafe or, a restaurant, it's not the time to have that conversation. You want to get into a private setting so that you're not, thinking that the other person isn't thinking that your mind is wandering and watching other things. They want to know that you're listening and you're paying attention to them. So going into a private setting is a great way to show the person that you care about what they're saying and that your attention is on them. Okay? And then finally is E, use an easy manner. So this is a lot about body language, right? So smile, maybe if it's just a half smile where you're just not a smirk, not something that like makes it look like you're, you know, um, annoyed or something like that. But maybe, like as they're talking and you can tell that they're nervous or something is happening while they're talking, their voice is cracking or something, and you smiled at them, they may feel more easy about what they're talking about and how they can talk to you about it. Try to use some humor. This one, I mean, that's up for grabs. I mean, sometimes you just can't do that, but sometimes maybe it'll give a lull in the moment so that you have a chance to breathe, sit back, figure out what you want to say next instead of this back and forth banter where it's not stopping, right? And then finally, put your attitude aside. Again, when you show an attitude, if you show disgust or something like that, the person isn't thinking you're taking them seriously. And that's really, really, that's a communication disaster if they don't think you're taking them seriously. And taking your attitude, leaving it at the door is a really important part of communicating with someone where you want to keep a relationship solid. Okay, so that's give. Next, we're going to talk about keeping self-respect during communication, not caving, not, doing things to appease the other person just because you're feeling so uncomfortable in the situation. Okay, so that is fast. So FAST. So we start with F, be fair. Be fair to yourself as well. Be fair to the other person, but also validate your own feelings. Understand what feeling you are actually having in the moment and understanding that so that what coping skills you may be able to use in the moment if you're angry, using certain, skills that may help you to step back, right? And make sure you validate your feelings. They are yours. They're your own. Then we go to A, which is no apologies. Your feelings are valid, right? You deserve to make requests. You can have an opinion. Those are two things that are very important to remember for yourself. You have a right to request that someone stop doing something or someone does something so that it makes you feel better. You also have an opinion. You can say that this is the way I'm feeling and I think you're doing this. Maybe you don't know you're doing it, but you're doing this and it's hurting me. So you have your opinion. You can, tell them what exactly you feel is going on. Then stand tall. Don't kowtow, which means keep yourself, sit straight up, look straight at them. Don't scrunch down, don't talk up towards them because that's putting yourself in a position where you're lower and they may consider that they have the upper hand on you, which isn't true. This needs to be a back and forth that's equal, right? So S, stick to values. Don't sell out. Be clear about your own morals and values. So sometimes it can be really hard when you're in a conversation with someone and you really want to keep that relationship going, even if it's not a good relationship for you. I've run into this a few times in my life, and it's very difficult to be able to stand back and say, no, this is right for me, and I'm not going to change how I feel or what I believe because I'm feeling uncomfortable in this situation, right? So that is really, really important. Stick to your guns. Go back to each time if they try to talk you out of your own, the value or moral that you are sticking to. Step back again, say, no, this is how I feel, this is what I believe, and stay there. Repeat it. Don't step down from it, okay? And then the last one is really, really important. Be truthful. It's very important to not lie, act helpless, exaggerate, or make excuses, because that's not true communication with somebody that you want to have a relationship with. You, first of all, it's just wrong to make up things on site. That's something that may happen. You feel like you're backed into a corner, so you say something that isn't true, or you say something that you don't believe, but you're saying it because you're so angry, and that really, really just breaks down communication really, really fast, especially if the person knows that it's not true. And don't make excuses. There's no reason to. You are who you are. You don't need to tell people that, that give them an excuse for something, especially if what you've done is what you believe is correct and what's right. You need to stand by the truth of it. Okay. And that can be really hard. I have had a lot of times where, just to make the other person feel better, I've said something that I don't believe about them. Maybe that, it doesn't even really matter. That something to make them feel better, but you don't actually believe it. That doesn't help in the end. So, fast, all about keeping self-respect. Okay, so those are two great tools that you can use for communicating with others. And again, go back to the other one, dear man. That is an even more intricate tool, but it's extremely helpful for communication in the moment. And interpersonal effectiveness is a must to have and enjoy relationships that you want to keep. So next week, I am going to be talking about emotion regulation, and there's a lot of great tools for that as well. I'll probably go back to other Moody Talks and repost, so look out for those things. And if you have any questions or comments, please don't hesitate to put them down in the comments or DM me, because I'd love to be able to give you more content that you're interested in, you want to learn more about. And it's, this month is all about mental health awareness. So, keep check on yourself. Check in, see how you're feeling, and reach out to people who may be able to help you. I do these videos because I hope that they can show at least one person that they're not alone with symptoms of depression or the anxiety, that kind of thing. So we will be back next week, and I hope you have a great rest of this week. Bye.